Welcome, everybody, to the NCU. That is Nerd Culture Undisputed. I am your host tonight, Mr. Kyle Wright, here with a great panel. First, Mr. Scott Hollandsworth.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How are we doing? I'm ready to talk some Spider-Man. We've been waiting for this for a couple months, so I'm excited.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of these preview episodes, and now here we are doing a review episode.
I'm excited.
Can't wait. And, of course, his first appearance here on Nerd Culture Undisputed, Mr. Adam Goff. Thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here, and you all are, really kind of right up my alley with, what you guys got going on. So I'm super excited to be here.
Awesome, man. Awesome. We have a lot to get into in this episode, but before we get started, just want to let everybody know, you probably saw it in the thumbnail, but just in case, spoiler warning ahead. I know it's been like freaking dodgeball trying to dodge spoilers and everything, and I don't want to be the guy that ruins this movie for you. So please, for the love of God, stop watching right now if you haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home. If you haven't seen it and you're just that kind of idiot that likes to be spoiled, then keep watching. Happy to have you here. All right, so let's get into this. Scott, I'm going to kick this first question over to you. Obviously, we do this all the time. Your overall thoughts and your overall feelings after Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh, it's easy. I mean, I was thrilled. I was very happy. I cried out of like anger, out of sadness, out of happiness. Overall, I mean, I thought it sounds cliche to be like, oh, it's the best Spider-Man movie we've ever had, but like it truly was the best Spider-Man movie we ever had in terms of the way that it was produced, the way that it was given to us, the character development that we got to see in a lot of old characters. I loved it. I personally absolutely love the movie. It's going to be hard to play Spider-Man again and top this performance, I think. But overall, I'm very excited. I loved it. Adam, what you got?
I agree 100%. I walked out of the theater Thursday night. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I was absolutely exhausted, but it was a good exhausted because, this 3 hours well spent. I walked out and I was like, you know what? This is probably my number one MCU movie. It had everything that it was billed to be and everybody thought it was going to be. It was. It left you feeling with excitement for things to come in the MCU and maybe not even just the MCU, other universes as well. And, it answered a lot of questions. It posed a few more questions, which are, I'm sure we're going to talk about tonight. But, absolutely loved it. I can't really find a fault or a flaw in what we witnessed with Spider-Man No Way Home. So, I absolutely loved it. It's definitely top 5 for me.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think you guys hit it on the head. I've never felt. I think other than Avengers Endgame, I don't think I've ever seen a movie where I felt all 5 emotions or the major emotions just like right there. I was happy. I was angry. I was sad. Everything that you could be coming out of this movie. My legs were tired. Like it was like the weird thing where like you like I have ADHD, so my legs tend to kick a lot, and when I get nervous, so I was sitting there like my legs are kicking in the movie, and oh my god. Then the roller coaster they put you on because it's like Aunt May dies, and then the very next scene is Toby and Andrew coming through the portals, and right. I mean, how dare they? Number one,
right?
How dare you? And then you're all excited, and then they get the rooftop scene where they're all talking about their heartbreak, and you're like, oh my god, right back to crying.
Yeah, it was definitely a roller coaster ride. I was kind of the same way. Of course, to start out the movie, you're leaned back in the recliner, and you're relaxing, enjoying, and then all of a sudden the portal opens and your chair goes up. And then at the end of the movie, I was like you. I had to stand up, and I stood up in the corner of the theater because I was in the very back row, and I just kind of watched and waited for the cutscenes and whatnot. So, but yeah, I totally understand that. Man, I got to get up and get moving.
I mean, it was just beautiful, right? I mean, everything. You get the true Spidey sense finally. From the moment like he's on the bridge and Doc Ock shows up for the first time, like the Spidey sense, like
the Peter Tingle.
Peter Tingle. Oh man, so much more of that, like with Toby and Andrew. But we're gonna talk about that more in a second, just their interactions and everything. But man, I mean, there's not really much else you could say. I think it was perfectly done. I only had one complaint coming out of that movie, which is Scott will tell you it's very good for me. because usually I'm like so analytical that I'm like, okay, this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong. Like
He
coming out
ruins
of
everything.
So he's Stan from South Park.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, like
okay,
he
gotcha.
ruins everything he has to come out of with like some type of man. That part was bullshit. I'm like, just shut up and enjoy it. Just shut up and enjoy it.
Of course, I enjoy it, but my job as an analyst is to find something wrong with everything. But there was literally only one thing. Like even coming out of Endgame, I was like, okay, but this. Like there were so many plot holes, but with this one, it was just so perfect. It ended perfectly. It was perfectly written. It was. I was actually very worried about the length, but I felt like the length was perfect. It didn't drag at any point. It didn't leave you waiting. Matter of fact, the only reason I wanted it to be longer would be for selfish reasons at this point. I just want 30.
Oh, absolutely.
Just want 30 minutes of them just talking.
So what was that complaint? You never actually stated it.
So I think I'll get into that here in question number 5.
Okay, gotcha.
That's when my complaint will come.
For
through,
sure.
All right.
For sure.
Well, let's get on to next question. You know, we did some old characters in this movie, but now speaking of show, we got another new character, and this one I thought was really strange, or not strange, but cool, because it wasn't a Disney Plus character that we saw jump over to this movie. We saw from the Marvel's Netflix show Daredevil. We got Charlie Cox finally to show up into this movie as Matt Murdock, as the lawyer. So my question, you know, what do you make of this? You know, Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock is now in the MCU in some sort of way. What role is he going to have?
Well, obviously he's apparently a really badass lawyer because
I love that.
because he just got Peter Parker off of everything. I mean, apparently, you know, with the way the movie moved, and I understand why they didn't spend so much time going through the minutia of the court dealings and police and whatnot. But you know, according to what he was able to do for Peter in this situation, and all of his friends. You know, apparently he's a really badass lawyer, and I hope they don't keep him as just the lawyer, but we definitely want to see the Devil of Hell's Kitchen doing his thing. And, you know, with the appearance of the Kingpin in Hawkeye, I mean, you're starting to see him, you know, come through into the MC universe. And I would really love to see a Daredevil Spider-Man team up against Kingpin. I think that would be absolutely epic, especially with Vincent D'Onofrio on board.
Yeah, especially since Kingpin was originally introduced as a Spider-Man villain. Mm-hmm. So that would be something great to see. Obviously, I love this moment in the movie just because when he puts his stick on the table, it wasn't a cheer. It literally went from like a gasp, like a theater-wide gasp, like,
yep,
there's no way. And then they show him and everybody just goes off, which first of all, I appreciated that so many people knew who Daredevil was. I mean,
oh, yes.
Really outside of the Ben Affleck film back in, I think, 2004, unless you watch that show on Netflix, you really don't. Nobody's going to have that appreciation as just a movie fan, if that makes sense. I was very surprised to hear the reaction in the theater that we did. And like you stated, man, I mean, you know, spoilers for Hawkeye, but obviously, if you've seen Spider-Man, you better have seen Hawkeye by now. But Kingpin is also now in the MCU, and it's Vincent D'Onofrio, and these are the same actors that played them in this Netflix series. So I'm thinking maybe coming out of this, like, this isn't my theory. I can't take full credit for this. But now are we going to start to maybe get more of these Netflix shows canonized, and maybe not like directly from the timelines, because the chronology is like all kinds of messed up when you talk about that. But like this watch that he's trying to protect in Hawkeye, maybe this is Phil Coulson. Maybe this is the proof that he's still in the game, but they're trying to protect him because he's in like witness custody or whatever. I don't know. Just a random thought. I mean, that's what I would like to see come out of it. Some of these Netflix characters on screen, more of them. Iron Fist.
Ooh, let's keep Iron. I'm sorry, Scott, but let's keep Iron Fist away from everything and his crying and whining. I mean, they're talking about possibly bringing Iron Fist back as as another Asian character in the next Shang-Chi, which, you know, I'd be all for, because the Iron Fist character really kind of fatigued me quite a bit.
I can see that.
I'm with Adam on this one. I like the fact that or not like the fact, but I'm hoping for a Daredevil and a Spider-Man team up. You know, like I don't know if you guys played the Spider-Man games a long time ago on like
Sure.
the PS1 and PS2, and some of them, like on the old ones where you only had to stay on the rooftops. There's Daredevil pops up in that video game at a couple of points, and you just kind of talk. But I mean, you know, it's always been kind of there that obviously they're in the same world. So now we might finally get the chance to see that come to life. I want it more on the not Disney side of it per se, because if you watch the Netflix version of Daredevil, I mean it's brutal.
Yeah,
it is.
It's dark.
I mean, it's bloody. It's dark. It's very dark, and I think they need to keep that character.
it's like a DC
As much
show.
as yeah, I mean, as much as I love the Disney way of doing all these movies, you know, occasionally like going just really dark, like Netflix did with it, it gives the character a lot more development. I think because after watching it, I had a lot more respect for Daredevil and that character, past the fact, you know, that he was just a blind lawyer.
Sure.
Which, by the way, when he caught that brick, that was awesome.
Loved it.
He said, "How did you catch that?" I'm a really good lawyer.
I wish, I don't know, man. Obviously, there was so much happening in that movie. You didn't like, there's really no room for more. But I really wanted more Daredevil in that movie. And I'm hoping maybe since this is his villain, he'll show up to help Clint Barton in the season finale of Hawkeye.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
and one thing that I wish they would have done, the brick was absolutely awesome. I agree with you 100% there. I really wish they would have shown Matt listening to Peter's heart when he was talking to him, because that was one of the big things of the Netflix show was, you know, his ability to know if somebody was telling the truth or not. And
Yeah.
I thought that would have been, you know, something that they could have done. And maybe we'll see it in a deleted scene or something later on down the road.
Yep. Good stuff. All right, you take question number 3.
All right. So what was your all's reaction to Toby and Andrew finally coming through the portals? And what did you all think about their chemistry? Was it what you thought it was going to be? Could it have been better? Just let's kick it over to Mr. Host here.
I thought it was exactly the way it needed to be. I thought, you know, they brought Andrew through first and everybody lost their mind, but they didn't bring Toby through immediately. They gave Andrew Garfield, who, by the way, hot take on this, I think Andrew Garfield stole this movie for me, which I'm very happy they gave him that, because I felt like his Spider-Man movies were the worst ones, and it definitely was not because of him.
No, Sony.
Like, and they even acknowledged how the villains they gave him were crappy. Like, they've acknowledged that in the movie, and that's what I love. Like, I fought a Russian guy in a rhino suit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone else felt like
That sucked because, Scott, we've talked. I think Andrew Garfield's the best actor out of the 3.
Oh, sure.
And they really gave him that platform. They gave him that solo time on screen with Ned and MJ. I love the interactions, man. I mean, I think everything's perfect, and everything's it was so realistic with Toby trying to like pop his back there on the rail, and
Oh my God.
it's like, dude, that is the most realistic dude scene you could ever have in a movie, and it was freaking perfect.
Yeah, because you don't think about them actually experiencing pain and
Yeah.
you know, growth, and you know, as they're maturing and getting older and all the stuff that they've gone through and been through, and the things that have happened to their bodies. You don't think about them going, you know what? Yeah, I'm really sore today.
Right. I would tell you one thing about it. When the movie has like been out for a long time and it's not going to be a spoiler anymore, I will find a screenshot of that final scene of Andrew with Toby's arm over him. That will be my new cover photo on Facebook.
Oh, God, that was, yes.
I'll throw
He
it over
said-
to you, baby, because I know you're ready.
Oh, dude. Oh, I was excited because, I mean, the second that first portal opened up, I was like, holy shit, that's Andrew Garfield. I said, that's really him. I was like, I recognized it. I recognized the eyes. Like, that's him. And sure enough, he started getting closer, and I'm just like, my heart was racing, dude. I felt like I was Ned. Like, I was there. I was truly there watching Spider-Man walk to me through this portal. And, dude, when he walked through, first, I love that every past character got some type of applause in this movie.
Yeah.
Like in this movie theater we were in. I mean, no matter who it was, everyone got some type of applause. I thought Tobey Maguire was going to get a standing ovation from the theater we were in. We got loud as I don't know what the hell his first line was because we didn't hear shit past all the screaming and clapping. But I loved it because, like, like you said, Kyle, that scene before they were waiting, or while they were waiting for everyone to show up, and they're just sitting there bullshitting it and talking. I was like, this is a true guy conversation. Because yeah, like you said, it's like, well, you want me to pop your back? He's like, yeah. So he straps hold, trats it, and I feel like the best part was when they acknowledged the fact that Spider-Man's web for Toby comes out of him. That.
It's fucking perfect.
He's like, look, man, we build ours. He's like, I'm just wondering, like, does it come out of anywhere else?
Right.
He was like, yes, the question we've all wondered for almost 20 years now. Like, can you shoot this anywhere other than your wrist? Does it come out of any other surfaces of your body?
Poor MJ.
Poor MJ. Oh, dude. And yeah, like you said, the scene where we all, where they all talked and they all talked about who they lost.
Oh, man.
That was so heart-wrenching because, like, we just lost May not even 10 minutes before. And here we are trying to de-escalate from it because, yeah, we were really sad. We're introduced to Toby and Andrew again, so we're really excited. And now here we are watching Andrew be the best actor out of all of them, crying. So, of course, I see somebody crying. I'm like, all right, so I'm going to cry now. And he's talking about, not being able to save Gwen. Oh. Which, by the way, when he caught MJ, my God.
I held it together the whole movie until that scene right there when she asked him if he was okay.
Really? That was where you made it to?
I held it together the whole movie, and then when he made that facial reaction to her asking if he was okay, I was like, oh, poor baby.
I think for me it was Tom looking at May saying, just look at me, May. Why won't you look at me? Like, that was,
oh, God.
For me, it was like, oh, goodness. And
dude,
then
I thought they were going to impale her.
I know. I thought there was going to be a Norman Osborn moment there from the I thought so, Spider-Man.
too. I was like, they can't do this to us, man. I told Kyle, I was like, if that would have happened, I would have walked out. I'd have walked back in because, got to finish the movie. But I'd have walked out in a protest because that would have been too much, I think.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, they did this deliberately just to make us cry. Like, there's no other point to this.
Don't tell Harry.
So, are you finished? Or
yeah, go right ahead. I want to hear your thoughts.
So, my thing was, I was a lot like you. It was the eyes for me with Andrew. And then Toby coming in, and he kind of had that Into the Spider-Verse kind of look of the older Peter Parker that, he had been through the ringer. He had done some things, but then come to find out, as they're sitting there, bullshitting and waiting like you all were talking about, he was like, oh, yeah, I fought, this and this, and I did fight an alien. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I fought a purple alien. I went to space. And then you went to space? Really? That's what you did? Okay. So I thought that was pretty awesome. I love their chemistry, especially when they were working in the lab, because that's something we haven't really seen from the MCU Peter Parker, Tom Holland. We haven't really seen him be this science geek. With Andrew, right. We saw, him developing his web shooters. And, in the second one, he was magnetizing them, thanks to Gwen's idea. And, in Toby, we definitely saw, his scientific mind and, because he was in school and stuff like that in college. Right. But, we hadn't seen that yet from Tom Holland. And you knew he was brilliant. You knew he was smart because he's Peter Parker. But, then you saw it when he was in the Mirror Universe, when he was like, well, this is just geometry. Here, let me handle this, which was epic to what he did to Doctor Strange.
Oh, God.
That's a scene of that movie that I think is going to fly under the radar that shouldn't.
Oh, it was awesome.
How incredible that was.
Oh, it was phenomenal. But, watching those three together and, Ned going, hey, Peter, yeah? No, Peter Parker. Dude, we're all Peter Parker. I think that was the Spider-Man meme of all three of them pointing at each other.
Yeah.
I think that was their version of that meme. So, we didn't get that, but I was glad that they touched base on the Toby not having the web shooters. It was epically funny. I was just everything about that movie, minus one thing, which we talked about pre-show, and I'll bring it up later. Everything was just spot on with that flick.
Yeah, just one more part about that I loved. Because their chemistry was not great as Spider-Man in the beginning, and I love how realistic that was, and that was like the moment that our Peter Parker, Tom Holland, took command of these other two guys, and was like, look, I've been in a group, and
He was in a band.
He was in a band. Oh my God, that like
That's great. Who are they?
Right.
Is
that a band?
Or
You were in a band?
You were in a band? But no, I
Middle
loved
of
how
the
their
fight.
I loved how their chemistry as Spider-Man was not there in the beginning. I love how they
Right.
had to like literally learn how to work together because the other two have never worked with a group before. And I mean, that's just like so realistic, man. And I think that's what puts this movie to the next level, because you've seen so many times these other movies where like these random characters come together and all of a sudden they're badasses and they're a badass team. And like, that's not how this would actually go.
This was Star-Lord's influence on Peter Parker.
Yeah.
100%.
100%. Absolutely. I love that. All right. So let's get on to the second half of these questions. We've got 3 more to go. But before we get into those, just want to throw a quick shout out to KL Skaggs Heating and Air. It's very humid outside, but it feels good in here right now. And that's thank you to Mr. KL Skaggs Heating and Air, LLC here in Panama City, Florida, for putting this wonderful AC unit in here. If you guys have any questions, look them up on Facebook or give them a call. It's 238-5414, and that is an 850 area code. So 850-238-5414. All right, so let's get into the second half of these questions. Scott, I'm going to start with you here, of course, as if nobody's already guessed that's the order we're going to be going in. Is this the last we see of Tom Holland as Spider-Man? And if your answer is no, kind of tell me your idea for the next movie.
So here's the thing. I was thinking no at first. When I watched the movie, I was like, oh my God, there's so much more you can go off of. But then I sat and I kind of, I let the excitement not die down. But, I let this, I calmed down a little bit. And I sat there and I thought about it. And I was like, I think it is. And the reason being is, real life happens, of course. And Tom Holland, has come out and he's like, I want to start a family. I want to kind of get away from the Spider-Man role. He wants to move on with his life, which is understandable. He's made 6 appearances now as Spider-Man, which is more than anybody else has done. So it's like, it's a lot. I can understand it's a lot. He's getting older. Cool. Now, I don't know where that leaves us, though, because, it's like, they kind of wrote him out of the MCU, I think, because now nobody knows who Spider-Man is. No one knows it's Peter Parker anymore. So it's like none of the Avengers know, Doctor Strange, MJ, Ned, whoever. No one knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So it's like you can almost kind of write him off as playing Spider-Man now, because you can obviously just jump into another universe, because we've obviously established there's a multiverse here.
Yeah.
So it leaves us with, I don't know, man.
Infinite
I want to
options,
see Tom.
right?
It does. It's infinite options, and I want to see Tom Holland continue as Spider-Man because I love the kid nature he brings to it. Because Spider-Man really is a kid for the versions that we've all come to know and love. Of course, there's adult versions, but it's very hard to picture the adult version of Spider-Man just because of what we all grew up knowing. Now, that being said, I would love if they do continue it. I would love a Rhino villain, personally. Now, if you're going to jump into it, jump into all the characters that really haven't gotten the screen time. Yeah, they might not be as exciting characters, but if you do it right, like you do this movies, you can make it exciting. You just have to do the characters justice. So that's my way on it. I don't see Tom Holland continuing to play Spider-Man, but I've eaten my words before, and I hope I do again.
Yeah, I don't think this is the last we see of him. I know he wants to start a family and all this good stuff, but there's plenty of actors out there that are doing exactly that and still doing what it is they do. And it's not like he has to be in every Marvel movie moving forward. If it's every 3 years we get a Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, it gives him 2 years to, do whatever it is he wants to do, then go for it. I don't think we've seen the last of him. If we have, thank you for everything. Appreciate you. Let's find another Spider-Man. But I don't think it is. And, I think as far as villains go, there at the end when Strange was trying to put the fabric of the universe back together, all those tears were happening. I looked up and I saw what I thought was Kraven, Rhino, Black Cat, I think there was probably one more in there. I'm trying to remember who it was.
Definitely Rhinos.
Scorpion,
Silhouettes.
possibly. I know we talked
yeah.
about that earlier today, but I mean, there's just as many villains as Spider-Man in the comics has. There's so many different things that they could possibly do. And I think Venom being one that everybody wants to see done right after the Sam Raimi's big FU to Sony with his version of it. So I think the MCU has a chance to do Venom correctly, which they've done pretty good so far. Sony has with the reinvention with Tom Hardy. But I think if we do see Tom Holland, I think you're going to see Venom in there as well. I just don't want to see Flash Thompson as Agent Venom because I don't like this version of Flash Thompson.
Really? Oh,
yes.
I love this version of Flash Thompson.
No, Flash is a bully, man. He is a jock bully that's just an animal, and then he gets humbled. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I know it's not comic canon or whatever with this new character, and I get it. That's fine, but
it's
I don't
modern.
know. For me, it's not what. If they went that direction, they would have to do a lot of adjustments to that character.
Yeah. I want to just say really quick, if we get Black Cat in a movie, I feel like we might get a Spider-Man sex scene.
Possibly. I mean, if J.
Like
Scott Campbell had
Cat.
anything to do with it, he would probably help.
Oh, man. Geez. I don't know. The easy answer is I don't know, right? Like,
yeah.
Fence Rider.
Yeah, exactly. You really felt like coming out of that movie that his story is perfectly wrapped up. However, you start seeing these rumors come out and actually confirmation from Kevin Feige that Tom Holland is not done. So obviously, the answer is no, he's not done. Now, my idea for the next Spider-Man movie would obviously be to play off the post-credit scene that we're about to talk about here in a minute and get that get an MCU Venom, just because you can't do this again with Spider-Man. Like, we had the post-credit scene of Spider-Man Homecoming that we haven't done shit with since, and we can't do that again.
Yeah.
Like, we can't have that happen again. However, now that he's faced these multiversal threats, he's fought Thanos, like, does it feel like these guys would be, like, is this a waste, like, to fight Scorpion at this point? Like, this should be like a brush off your shoulders, bro. Like, you're fighting fucking Scorpion. You beat Thanos. Like, you'll be all right. I don't know. I think we're I definitely don't think we're done. I would like to see the next movie become him passing the torch. I also don't think this the last time we're gonna see all three Spider-Men together. If Sony has their way, I think they want to do a live action Spider-Verse movie where we see kind of exactly what we just did, where those cracks in the multiverse open up, and I assume after Doctor Strange 2 that the multiverse is just going to be
wide ass open.
Yeah.
So, all right,
Ooh.
Scott, you got the next question?
Yeah. So let's get on. So we wrap up the movie finally. Movie goes great, and we all know as Marvel fans, you have 2 post-credit scenes that are going to happen. So
shout out to the ones that left after the first one.
Right. Shout out to the ones who always leave after the first one. So, we did the first post-credit scene, and we were in like this middle of a bar, and we finally see Eddie Brock, which, as if you watched Venom 2, we did introduce finally that he's going to somehow pop up and want to get involved with Spider-Man finally. You're like, holy shit, it's going to happen. And I'm taking it we're in Mexico because he has a hat on his head that says Mexico. He's sitting there drinking, contemplating, fighting with Venom in his head, of course. And, we get the answer. He's like, we should go pay Peter Parker, Spider-Man a visit. And then, boom, he gets sucked back. I'm assuming he gets sucked back into his universe, which, cool, I guess. But it's like, damn, now I don't feel like we're going to get that interaction as much. Like, I feel like it was more of just a teaser because we already did a Venom, movie per se. But, so a little bit of the symbiote falls off of Eddie. And it stays in this universe. So who is this symbiote going to attach himself to? Because, like you said, obviously, like you said, Kyle, it's confirmed that Tom Holland's not done playing Spider-Man. We don't really know when he's going to play it again. But if he is this going to play a part of it? Is somebody going to get this symbiote in him? And if so, Who? I feel like I know who you're going to say, which I'm excited to hear your answer. But Adam, who you got?
Yeah, so super excited to see Venom in this universe. Like I said before, you know, the Venom in this universe, I feel like needs to be just absolutely brutal and super just pumped. You know, the Venom that we have in the Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage, he's kind of dumbed down a little bit. He's super funny, but he's a little dumbed down. And I felt like in Let There Be Carnage, that Carnage he got the Ultron treatment.
Oh, I do too.
You know what I mean? Where he was like,
yeah,
we're gonna mute a little bit of what he does. And Carnage is my favorite Marvel villain of all time. So I was disappointed in that aspect. But the Venom in this universe needs to be absolutely brutal. And, you know, I would love for it to attach to somebody that is already kind of that way. And I would love for them to maybe introduce Tom Hardy again in this universe, where he's not this sickly man that's going to die and he's down on his luck photographer and all this other stuff. I'd like to see the, you know, either that Eddie Brock or, you know, J. Jonah Jameson's son could be a possibility as well in this universe. You know, he was the astronaut that went up in the comics and got him. So
I think he's the astronaut that dies in our Venom verse or in the Sony verse at the very beginning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So in this universe, maybe he attaches to J. Jonah Jameson's son. So, and, you know, and maybe that's the way they bring in Gwen Stacy in this universe. Who knows? So that's what I would like to see, one of those two.
My theory is obviously the easy answer is going to Flash Thompson, right? You get your Agent Venom. But what about Ned?
I knew it.
So listen, I don't know why I keep going to this, but for some reason I feel like the seeds were planted in this movie with the whole like, hey, I'm never going to try to kill you, Peter, kind of thing, like, because we're best friends. Well, we ain't best friends no more because he don't know who Peter Parker is. So something might happen. Like maybe in the next movie, he's in love with MJ. Ned is falling in love with MJ, but MJ figures it out again, as she will, like as she said she would, and now she's falling back in love with Peter, and Ned's got this jealousy streak. Boom, symbiote attaches to Ned. We end up seeing Ned as Venom in the MCU.
As long as we don't see Tom Holland dancing, although he's probably a better dancer than Tobey Maguire.
Hey, you watch your mouth. It's the most legendary dance of all time. I wanted to do that on TikTok last night as part of my spoiler-free review, but Rachel said that would be a spoiler.
Nice.
Technically. And I guess it technically would have been. No, I mean, that's what I want to see from it. I do want to acknowledge that this was the one part of the movie that I did not like. And, of course, it came in the post-credit scene, which is fine. You know, I mean, that means the entire movie itself was A+ to me. Yes. But I do want to say, like, I feel like this was a 100% total waste of a post-credit scene in Venom Let There Be Carnage and of Eddie Brock's character coming to the MCU. I felt like this was a 100% waste, and I hated it. And at first I hated it because I didn't like the idea of having two Venoms, one in the Sonyverse that we're going to have to keep track of, and then one in the MCU. But we're smart enough. We can figure that shit out. I don't like it because I think it would have been much funnier, and it would have been a big surprise, like as if the theater needed another surprise, but it would have been a great surprise if, like, first post-credit scene, we never knew that Eddie Brock got transferred over, but it's just him watching the fight from across the river, and he's like, all right, let's go get him, and then he fades back. It's like, because it would have been funny, because it would have been like, oh, damn it, and boom, they're sucked back into their
I get to eat people.
Yeah, but they're sucked back into their universe, and then the symbiote's left behind, because then it would have been like a surprise and that shocking reveal of the symbiote being left behind. But I didn't like the way that part was done. I thought it was I was very, very excited to see Venom, Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy in this movie, and I feel like I got that ripped away from me.
Yeah, and I'll agree with that. It does feel ripped away. It doesn't feel like it's going to be very much touched on again. And if it is, it's not going to obviously be in a very big role, it looks like.
Right.
So, yeah, it's kind of disappointing. But at the same time, it is exciting because, you know, we still got the scene. We still obviously now see that the symbiote is in the Marvel Universe still.
Yes, Venom's in the MCU, regardless.
Yeah, which is it now. It's just who it gets attached to. Me, I don't I don't know who I'd like to see it attached to, honestly. Like, I don't, because the easy way is, the easy route is you go to like Flash or you go to Ned, you go to somebody he knows. I'm not necessarily saying, of course, throw a monkey wrench in there and make a whole new character for the movie.
So no Topher Grace?
Oh, God. Dear
no
God.
Topher Grace.
I can never watch that 70s show again.
Nah, no Topher. But I don't know, man. I truly don't know who I would like to see it passed on to. Because Sony just did so bad with it the first time.
Yep.
So it's like I'm scared to see it redone again. Not that I think Marvel would do anything wrong and steer it in a bad path, direction, whatever you want to say, but I don't know, man. I don't have a set person of who I would want it to be. It could just stay a symbiote for all I could care and just grow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be okay with that. Just be the symbiote itself. Because then it doesn't attach itself to a person. So now it's like, how really do you beat it? Usually you just disconnect it from, the source of whoever it is. But now if it's just a symbiote floating around, just basically being like Sandman, just making himself as big as he wants or whatever the case may be, gives a little bit, you get more options out of it, I think.
You can use the age-old out that the MCU seems to love, and like it just attaches itself to one of Tony Stark's old suits, and then it's robotic Venom. Iron Venom. I don't know. Something stupid. All right, go ahead. Throw this last question. Let's wrap this thing up.
All right. So in the second post-credit scene, it was more of a trailer of an upcoming MCU movie for the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Just thoughts.
Woo. First of all, I had to be hushed in the theater because I'm a huge Wanda mark. And if you're not a wrestling, yeah, if you're not a wrestling fan, Mark means like I'm a simp in basic terms. I freaking love Wanda. I loved WandaVision. I love her arc. So when she popped up in the trailer at the very beginning, I was obviously head over heels. But I really am excited to see this movie come out. We're only 3 months away from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I thought the trailer looked extremely badass. I think it's crazy how we're gonna see. I mean, more questions, because I got to see this trailer come out on like a clear screen where I can watch it on my phone over and over again to get the clear answer for this. But is this the Strange Supreme that we saw from What If? Like, because they did say What If was going to be canon and you do need to watch it. So, like, is this going to be that Doctor Strange that we see? Will we see a whole lot of Doctor Stranges because we're traveling the multiverse? I don't know. But I do know one thing. Spider-Man and Doctor Strange's fight in this movie was trippy as hell. It was like that, and I imagine Doctor Strange and Doctor Strange, their fight would be
and
like,
Wanda
like tripping acid.
Yeah, that's gonna be rough to watch, man. It really is, because it was a mind fuck, to say the least, to watch him and Spider-Man go at it. I do love at the end of it, he was like, I fought Doctor Strange and won. It's like I did it. I'm excited for it. I do like that you can tell which Doctor Strange is obviously not the good guy. I do like that you're able to tell that. I hope that they can keep that throughout the movie, so I don't sit there and go, well, which one is that?
Yeah, right.
Are you good? Are you bad? Are you a third one that we don't know yet? But I also, yes, I was the hush, really quick to touch on that. Because, I mean, it was the second you just see her hand 4 seats away, I could feel just this energy just start rising out of Kyle, because he's like, oh my God, that's Wanda. And I'm like, will you shut up? We're trying to listen still. So, I mean, but it's exciting, obviously. It is. It's very exciting because you have 2 characters who have powers beyond what really any of us can understand what they can do. And they're going to go at it in this movie at some point. And I don't know what to expect, because with Doctor Strange changing the universe and Spider-Man, it's just him controlling it. He's going to make it look like whatever he wants it to look like. Now if you throw in Wanda and she's trying to change it at the same time he's trying to change it, whoa.
At some point she's going to break it all by trying to bring her kids back, and that's when it's going to get hectic.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
Obviously, we have much more to talk. Like, once this movie gets closer, we'll be doing this.
Oh yeah, it's like you said. Once you get, once I can sit there and do this with my phone and watch a trailer 7 times in a row, I can sit there and go, okay, I have questions about this. I have questions about this. After watching Spider-Man and then getting that unloaded at me at the end, it's like, all right, this is a lot to take in.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, though. I'm very much excited. I know it's going to blow any expectations I have really out of the water. So all we have to do is just wait 3 months.
Which is actually going to fly by, honestly. I mean, with everything else going on, I think it's going to fly by, and it's going to be here before we know it. I'm excited to see what Baron Mordo is going to bring in this movie, because, it set it up in the first Doctor Strange where, he was going to be the next big Strange villain, and he's really an anti-villain because he's not a bad guy,
right?
He's just, he wants things a certain way, and it's not Doctor Strange's way. So I'm excited to see his arc in this movie, and I think what we're going to end up seeing is we're going to end up seeing Wanda have to take down Baron Mordo in order for him, and in order for her to have a shot at taking down the What If Doctor Strange. I'm excited to see all of the madness, for lack of a better term. I don't want to sound cliche because that's the name of the movie, but I am excited to see exactly what's going to happen. And is this going to be Kang's introduction into the MCU? Because, they're going to
I think so.
For lack of, pardon the language, but they're going to fuck some shit up.
Yeah.
And it's going to get bad.
100%.
It's going to get really bad, and I don't think it's going to get good for a long time. And I think Kang probably makes his MCU appearance in this movie. So that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing is if that comes to fruition.
Well, listen, there have been rumors that the TVA is supposed to make another appearance before Loki season 2 in some MCU products, so maybe we get a Loki appearance in this show as well. There's so many possibilities. We've heard rumors, we've heard ramblings of this is the possible introduction of the X-Men into the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how, it'll be a reverse of the House of M comics where Wanda says no more mutants and gets rid of all of them, where in this one she'll go, let there be mutants or something, and all the mutants are in the MCU all of a sudden. And it just becomes crazy. And I hope it ends with a Deadpool moment with a, what the fuck? And then it just stops.
I hope it ends with Venom taking over Deadpool. How about that?
Oh my gosh.
Venom pool. Give it to me all day long.
I love it. I love it. Well, anything else, guys? Anything else, Scott?
I got one more.
Okay, go ahead. I saw your face, so I figured.
Coming out of, the multiverse of madness, who do you want coming out as the hero of this movie? Because obviously going in, Wanda's, unhinged, but she still technically is the hero, and so is Strange. But it's I almost want more of Wanda being the hero of this movie. Well, me personally.
Well, you got you have the wild card of White Vision. Will he be back in this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true.
You've got that sitting out there. We really have no idea what this movie is going to bring, but I would assume, sound cliche, but I assume Doctor Strange will come out on top because it's his title movie.
Yeah.
But I would like to see Wanda come out with closure or happiness finally, because it seems like everything we get with Wanda, every movie she's been in ends in heartbreak for her. So I would like to see one not end like that.
Yeah, I think Doctor Strange ends up back on top. And I think he's going to be the new leader of the next Avengers. And I think you're going to see Wong kind of take a back seat to Doctor Strange and hand over the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme again at the end of it. And Wong's going to go back to doing what he's been doing and collecting. Because that's what he's been doing. He's been collecting talent and just saying, okay, you're on board. He's the recruiter, and I think Doctor Strange is going to end up back on top, and I think he's going to be leading the Avengers against Kang.
Oh, man, it's going to be crazy because they're going to need him, and they're also going to need Adam Warlock, who's going to be showing up in Guardians 3. Dude, we have so many more of these videos to put out. So many more.
So many.
So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you will get notified when we put out all of said videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. To Scott, thank you for being a part of this as always.
Absolutely.
You can
always a fun time.
Awesome, awesome. You can catch Scott on the Right on Squared Circle podcast, a wrestling podcast available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere else podcasts are found. You can find Scott on that show. And Mr. Adam Goff, thank you as well for being a part of this.
Oh, absolutely. It was a pleasure. I hopefully we get to do this again.
I was going to say, I doubt this is going to be a one-off.
Well, good.
I doubt it.
I'm excited.
I doubt it. Well, hey, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I don't know. Thank you so much for dancing. I'm going to do... I'm done. We'll see you guys next time. Never forget the nerd out.